seems we have a new AFP Commissioner, Chrissy Barrett. There's a couple of issues arose which I wanted to discuss on all the sites, including the newspaper ones, but people were blocked from every single one because it seems what the newspapers want to be put out has to be the correct information when it's not. When you look at our constitution, there were 6 colonies. One needed to be ordered into federation, that was Western Australia, with a declaration which is on the wall of the Church of England, St George's Terrace, Perth. How does that document sit with today? That's absolute. Because it's around 26 years ago we had a referendum to have a republic. Only 26 years ago, not 126, 125, not all the nonsense put forward by the sovereign citizens called political parties. Now, what laws are valid? Read your constitution. It says not all enactments of a parliament are valid, only those made pursuant to, in accordance with, and under the authority granted by the constitution, and those laws only are binding on the courts, judges and people. All other laws are void. So, I'll address you as Ms. Barrett rather than insult you by talking to you on your Christian name, because I don't know you. I know of some of the things you've done, and congratulations on the appointment you've got. I, along with everybody else in this country, expect you to carry out the laws of this country, not unlawful enactments by political parties who have their own agenda. And that is all on. In relation to democracy, Australia is not a democracy, never was and cannot be until it is taken out from under the direct control of the Constitution, which is indissoluble, so you can't take it out. If you don't know that, I'm willing to give you a copy in PDF of that, if you want that. If you don't, social cohesion is the application of lawful laws and the compliance therewith. I agree that there's blow-ins from other countries fail to comply with our laws. I've seen them put before courts, convicted. Why aren't they ordered out of this country? Because the milksops sitting on the benches in the courts refuse to abide by the law. They have no right to be here. You commit a crime here, get out. You don't comply with our Constitution, get out. Simple. You want to live in this country, you live under our rules. No Sharia law, no Buddhist law, no Indian law, no nothing. Our laws. The Constitution's clear. Follow our customs and beliefs, assimilate or get out. Assimilate does not mean you get to butcher women's genitals. That's bodily harm and serious assault. Do I know if it continues to this day in this country? I would say so, given the attack to try and force Sharia law on this country. No, you're not having it. You're not going to have loudspeakers hanging on a pole calling to prayer. You want to call to prayer, do it in your own home. No problem with that. You follow our customs and beliefs or get out. You don't swear the lawful oath in our Constitution, then shut your mouth. You've got no authority. None. And if you do exercise any level of authority, that includes you, Commissioner Barrett, you must state where in the Constitution you get that authority, and I'll tell you now it's not there. You are employed under imperial law as an officer of the Crown. Did you take the oath? You know it, I don't know. If you didn't, then shut up and get out. You shouldn't be there. And I'm not being rude. That's our law. Our law. The supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. Doesn't remain with political parties and bulldust that they put over. See, most people knew you were butchering our constitution, changing it, not altering, when you only have the power to alter, not change. And you've been doing it all along. Sue versus Hill is a decision of the High Court which has absolutely no meaning in law. It's absolute nonsense and lies. England, we are part of it as a self-governing colony. The rest is a lie. Am I correct? Yes. Section 8 of the Constitution, or Clause 8, says when the colonies become states, the Boundaries Act no longer applies. You can't have an electoral boundary or any other boundary except the boundary set around our land as it's alienated from the Crown and 12 nautical miles offshore. If you've got these people coming into the country, and what comes to mind, what I watched yesterday, where Penny Wong scouted around answering a question from a senator. She failed to answer it. She dribbled on, coughed, ticked and sneezed, read from some document which gives them ideas on how to get around answering questions. Why didn't the Speaker do a job and expel her from the Parliament for refusing to answer a lawful question? Why didn't you? Albanese lied and said those wives of the terrorists weren't coming here. They weren't going to help, and you did exactly the opposite. You're a liar. You should be expelled as well. You see, what that proves is what I said the other day. If you belong to a political party, and this is a fact, you have made yourself to be sovereign, able to do whatever you want. And are you a sovereign citizen? Yes. Because your whole outlook through your socialist communist garbage is you're going to serve the United Nations without putting it to the people. You never put it to the people. You didn't have the authority to join the United Nations without going to the people. There's a speech by Chief Justice French that outlines what you can and can't put into our law. And you cannot. He suggested maybe judges could include some of the things into a decision of a court. I get that. And Toomey had other ideas. I don't get anything she does. Because unfortunately, she's not teaching the truth. If she doesn't like that, well, you're open to take it to court. And you'll lose. Because you are not checking your facts before you do your videos. I in turn do. I teach people from the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this country. If you can't abide by it, get out of the job you got. We do not want to pay you to ignore us. If you are employed in any position to serve the people, you get paid to do the job. If you think you are going to choose what you call social cohesion, then you become a traitor. Because the supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. If we choose to protest, we choose to protest. You cannot pass laws to prohibit us. You can, I believe, under the laws of good governance, granted by Section 51, subsection 1 of the Constitution, or under state constitutions. That good governance does not include changing our Constitution, altering it without our permission, signing overseas agreements and everything else. We are not, and I repeat that, a democracy. We're a self-governing colony of England under the provisions of Clause 8. Because once the Commonwealth is established, it's established as that. And Toomey says they didn't need a referendum to put in the Australia Act. That's not true. That's an outright lie. Who told her that? I don't know. She also teaches that the Parliament is above the Constitution. Well, the Constitution says The Constitution is above both houses of Parliament. They must comply with it. So you got that wrong too. You also talk about the supremacy of the Parliament. There's no supremacy of the Parliament. Page 676 of the Constitution says the Parliament's not supreme. The very essence of federation is that must be so. So you got that wrong too. How about that? How about that? You're talking about plenary power of the Parliament. Yeah, but you misrepresented that, didn't you, Anne Toomey? You haven't corrected it, and I've told you, and other people have told you, that's wrong. The Parliament has the authority to pass any legislation put to it in accordance with the Constitution. That is the explanation of plenary power, not the right to do whatever it wants. Otherwise, it would take away the supremacy of the people, who have absolute authority. It would still leave you open, even with your own concoction of ideas, to Chapter 3, Section 76, page 795. How can you even hope to show where in the Constitution the authority to do whatever you like comes from? Because it's nowhere else says you did. It says the Parliament, which is not sovereign and supreme. It's not sovereign at all, neither of them, federal or state. They're not. It states that. If they attempt to pass a law in excess of the authority granted, it's not a law at all. It's a lie. It's a fraud. You see, the big problem we have in this country is we've got all these know-it-alls sitting in Parliament who think they know everything and they can do everything. Well, you put that to the people in 1999. Do you want a republic? We said no. It didn't not carry no means you can't have it, because that would change our Constitution. But you'd already changed it. Means you made an application to the people to change the Constitution after you committed blatant treason. When did you do that? When you produced the High Court Act. When you produced your Royal Styles and Title Act. We're a self-governing colony of England. You needed a referendum from us and permission from England to change the royal style and title of the Crown in our Constitution. You can't do it. It's all a lie. The moron that calls itself the Premier of Western Australia, him and his last moron mate, being Mark McGowan, decided they could create the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act, Section 5, add lawyers to officers of the Crown. So where's the conflict of interest? Absolute. Do they look after us? No, they don't. They produce documents in court now. They're at blatant fraud. It is the business of the federal police. So, Commissioner Barrett, look at that. What they're doing is they have the stamp or the seal of the court on the document, and then they print everything over the top. Have a look at if you've ever got recent documents. I did. They even admitted they hadn't signed it. It was photoshopped off another one. They had no evidence. It was broadcast all over the world on social media. A very good place to hold the government into account, because they don't like the embarrassment. What did they do about that? Nothing. They eventually removed the case from the court simply because Department of Public Peanuts are not officers of the Crown nor any of the police. They are public officers. One thing you need to look at as well, Commissioner Barrett, is all your officers swear the oath contained in the Constitution, and yourself if you haven't done it. Otherwise, you don't exist in law. You made a big deal about talking about dealing with people who interfere with social cohesion, and I get that. And it only can refer to people committing crimes that shouldn't be in this country, and why they aren't removed, and why they aren't dealt with by law. The rest, we've got adequate laws to deal with them all. So don't bother with your oversight or anything they want you to do in oversight. Comply with our Constitution or you get out of it, because you have no authority. We do not at this time have one lawful court. The Constitution is clear. All courts are part of a federal judicial system with the High Court at its summit. The High Court is the superior court of the country. In fact, the Chief Justice of the High Court, if he was lawful, but he isn't, would have the same authority or the ability to exercise the same authority as the Governor-General, which can't because she hasn't sworn in. Ted, please don't keep talking about 1970. It has nothing to do with it. They haven't complied with one iota of the Constitution since 1901. And we're not going back 100 years. We're going to what we did in 1999. 26 years ago, the people of this country voted against a republic. We voted against dictatorial systems. Why didn't the political parties take it out? Because they decided they're sovereign. Reason being, they went back because it failed in two times to get what the United Nations want. We've never been a member of them. You need us to sign and take us out of the Commonwealth and put us in the United Nations, and you can't do it. WHO, nothing to do with us. WEF, nothing to do with us. You cannot force us to have anything to do with any of those. Otherwise, you breach social cohesion laws, acts, statutes, whatever you want to call them. You have, not us, yous. The problem is we have all these experts take up these top jobs and they know nothing about the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this country. You're not going to move it. If you could, they would have thrown it out a long time ago. G'day, Dean. You would have thrown it out a long time ago, but you don't. When you want to introduce homosexuality, what a stupid, idiot thing to do. Not because I've got anything against homosexuals. They're humans with a problem, my belief. And I'm entitled to my belief. Now, where's the problem? You've let Muslims in here, and in the Quran it says you can chuck them off buildings, kill them. And in their countries they do that. Is it right? No. You don't have the right to take someone's life. Nobody does. So before you set about, Commissioner Barrett, going after the people in here and saying you're doing this, you're doing that, if anybody objects to the unlawful laws in this country or the disobedience of our Constitution, they can do so. The first thing you should be dealing with is the fact that the Victorian police, or somebody pretending to be them, fired on the public. Live rounds, yes. With all you've got is rubber caps on them. They could kill people, absolutely. In the eye, probably more than likely would. Go straight through the eye. The eye won't stop something, a projectile flying at that speed. But why did you think Dan Andrews and the current moron that thinks it's the Premier, and Albanese, and Penny Wong, and all the politicians, why have you just not dealt with the issue? The Commissioner of Western Australia? Oh, look at the terrible things done to police officers. What about the terrible things done to all those people who are the public, who are the sovereign and supreme people of this country? You can't take that away from us. You can't. My forefathers and yours and everybody else fought to uphold that. And what do you want to do? Allow some morons in their little play suits to open fire on the public with automatic weapons with rubber bullets. Spray, mace, tear gas and everything into people's faces. Blatant, serious assault. Use your stupid little machine on the people in Canberra. You know about that, Commissioner Barrett. What are you going to do about that? You want us to abide by what you call law, then you put that law through a just process, a lawful process, which requires that the Governor in Council at state level and the Governor-General in Council at federal level, neither of what exists is established lawfully, and you deal with it according to law. Laws are put together by those executive councils. There's no such thing as a cabinet. As I said before, my suspicion is that's where you keep your alcohol and drugs. Do you agree with me? Obviously you don't want to even listen to what I'm saying, but you're going to, or stand trial for treason. All of you, including you, Commissioner. If you do nothing about the pedophiles, that purported law isn't to cover up the pedophiles, isn't a lawful law. It's not. How can you cover up a pedophile? Because when you do, you become party to it. If you do nothing about these terrorist women coming back into this country, they are terrorists. They've been taught by terrorists. They've lived with terrorists. Their kids are taught by terrorists. They wear the outfits of terrorists. That's not following our customs and beliefs. Even if you wanted to bring them back in, they would have to comply. Do they? No, they don't. I'm only saying what our Constitution says. We have supreme, ultimate and uncontrollable authority, we the people, not you. Do you think you can act as a thug and force us? No, you're not going to. People have had a guts full. You know that the general public, if pushed too far, is liable to turn on you. So what do? You take the guns off the people that have got them and have proved they're respectful. They've never used them, turned them on the people. You took them off them. Why? Why didn't you go hunting the people who've actually got them? How many are around in the public eye? Open your eyes. Open your eyes. You don't listen to the people. If you did, you would completely understand that there's firearms coming into this country and you haven't stopped them. There's drugs coming in this country, you haven't stopped them. There's politicians committing blatant treason. And what did I get out of one of yous before? Oh, there's no such thing as high treason. Actually, there is. Halsbury's Laws of England, Volume 2 at 284. You wage war on the Crown by removing it. That's high treason. You can take it out of your statutes, but you still have to abide by imperial acts. Law in this country under the 9 clauses to the Constitution. You cannot get rid of it. 26 years ago, we voted to retain it. Voted to retain the Crown. Why don't you swear the oath of allegiance? Oh, some moron decided you didn't have to do it. Yes, you do. You want to sit in our parliament, you swear the oath in the Constitution. You want to sit in our courts, you swear the oath in the Constitution. Not your version of it, the proper oath. It was Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, her heirs and successors, so help me God, or the affirmation. Now it is the same, and you replace the Queen with the King. Because if you didn't have heirs and successors, which you didn't, in the unlawful oath you've been taking, how come you made King Charles King of Australia and his other realms? Another load of garbage put out by absolute morons who fail to understand the English language. What's wrong with you? Who do you think you are when you think you can disobey our law? All I'm asking for you to do, Commissioner Barrett, look at the law, learn the law, swear the lawful oath, or get out of the job you're in because you have no lawful right to be there. I don't say that, the Constitution does. You can't change the Constitution, no one can. The High Court disappeared off the radar totally when they passed the High Court Act. Cullerton had it revealed in the Senate that the Parliament makes rules that control the High Court. And you prohibit us going there. The Constitution says we need leave to appeal. You've decided that you need special leave to appeal. We don't, and when I blocked it out, you refused to take it. You wanted me to change it back to leave, to special leave. No. You should have given me leave to appeal, because you can't stop. In R versus Rogerson, you committed a crime and conspiracy to pervert the course of justice because it was the whole registry of the High Court. when you refuse to take documents. That's a ruling of the High Court, and that one's actually correct. There's a few that are correct. The Cable decision, which at paragraph 52 says all courts are part of a federal judicial system with the High Court at its summit. Am I correct? Look at it. Look at it. CLR 189 and 1996 paragraph 52 states exactly what I just said, and it's constitutional fact. What we need in this country, you want social cohesion where everybody abides by the law. Get rid of the political parties. None of them have authority to be there. Is it your job? Absolutely is. You're supposed to be working directly under the Governor-General if she was lawful, and she's not. She hasn't sworn the oath. I saw what she swore. It's a fraud. And she's sitting in fraud. So how did she swear you in? Understand, we're not going away, or comprehend whichever way you want it. Wake up to the fact that we are standing up. We have every right to. And don't you dare come near the people for standing up for their rights granted by the Constitution. The rights are absolute. Freedom of speech the lot. If you allow this control over social media, you're committing that crime. You have no control over the social media. You can pass laws for the use of it, and they're already there. Control what was put on social media by the people who set it all up. By all means, stop people swearing. I chastised somebody the other day for the way they were talking, because I don't have to put up with it, nor does my wife, nor does anybody else. But the bird brains in Parliament, in the courts rather, decided, oh, that's normal everyday language, so they can do it. You really need to look at the law and understand the law. I'm not knocking your abilities to do that, but you must understand we have laws which force you to abide by them. The law that allows police forces, both state and Commonwealth, is imperial law. Otherwise, show me in the Constitution where it says you can have police. It doesn't. And any act that isn't in either the General Constitution or 51 doesn't authorise anything, so it doesn't exist. There's no office of Prime Minister, because a Prime Minister is a primary member of the Parliament, the Speaker, both at state and federal level. You can look at it all you like, but that's what it is. Otherwise, show me in the Constitution where that is granted. It never does. It's time that you people comprehended there is a lot of people in this country who have been wronged. The Aboriginal nation has been told absolute and utter lies. The history needs to be reviewed and put back in its original form. Mad McGowan put on the northwestern end of the big car park in Geraldton a little garden area, the Batavia Park, and it states there were no white people here before 1630 or 1605. Pedro the Portuguese was here, and he claimed the country is the great Southland of the Holy Spirit. It's not a religious thing to us if you don't believe in God. I do. Torres, his captain, put a plaque or a flag on the west side of Cape York. And after that, a lot of years after, 1930s, 1940s, that became Torres Strait in honour of him. Don't believe me? Go have a look. It's in the history. You, not once did you morons, I'm talking about McGowan and Cook. What about Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan, William Dampier? Where are they on there? Why don't you for once tell the truth? When you tell the people that Batavia is the name of the ship that came here, it was the name of Jakarta, Indonesia. That was the spice trade centre of the world. Probably some of the opium, which was drugs anyway, but that's how it was. It was lawful then. What I'm really saying is, if you want to administer law, and this is to the new Commissioner, administer according to our Constitution, not to the nonsense and lies and fraud and treason of the political parties. People will listen to you and they'll give you the credit you should get. Until you do that, you'll get none. You comprehend that? I've spoken to a lot of people. That was the reason why we couldn't comment on your page, couldn't comment on the media pages. They didn't want anybody to have a say in anything as usual. But all it does is allow me to prop up the fact that political parties think they're sovereign and supreme above us, along with majority of lawyers, judges and so forth. They are not. And their allegiance, they're citizens of the United Nations. We're not. We didn't sign up to them, so you are. So you are sovereign citizens. The same stupid oxymoron name that you try to put to us. So you have a lovely day and let that sink through your head. And for the Commissioner, no, I don't disrespect you. I do expect you to swear the lawful oath in our Constitution, because till then you aren't the Commissioner. And that would be a pity if you're quite able to do your job. And I see no reason why you can't. So stand up and be counted for once. As one of the people who stood up and said, you're not going to disobey the Constitution. And I'm not going to answer some of these comments because you still missed the point. It started at Federation, not 1975, and Gough Whitlam started in 1972-73 when he signed the Unidroit Treaty of Rome, hopelessly and without lawful excuse, trying to alter the provisions of the Constitution and this country. Why wasn't he locked up? Because Kerr only sacked him. He didn't do the right thing and lock him up for the rest of his life for blatant treason. That's why. Good old Labor Party didn't want, good old Liberal Party didn't want it, because they're all in bed together. Liberal, Labor, National Greens, it's one bent and twisted system, legal system, not lawful, and it doesn't deal with anything to do with the people who are supreme, sovereign and uncontrollable. Wake up to that point. It's constitutional reality. 26 years ago we decided to keep that system, our system, not your bulldust, pretend, dictatorship. Not all the companies, those companies, not one of these companies, including your courts, have any authority whatsoever in law unless you show me where in the Corporations Act we, and our Constitution, we gave a company the authority to administer law. Don't say it's only for GST. Goods and services tax is two subjects of tax. It's unconstitutional and therefore invalid. Don't like that? It says so in the Constitution. Don't like that? Tough. Boo-hoo. So you people have a nice day. People are quoting all sorts of years. The fact of the matter is, I'm correct. If you think I'm not, show me in the Constitution where I'm wrong, or shut up and get on with serving the people. Serving the people, which is your job. Thank you.